Hey, what is up, D? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Absolutely amazing. So, what we're going to do today is basically talk about your story, your journey when it comes to life itself, how you found Zen Ed Academy, and what that has done for your life.
Sounds good.
All right. So, with that being said, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard this crazy train called life. Okay, so with that being said, let's go back to before you found Zen Ed Academy, before you even heard about us. What was your life like? What was going through? Like, what was your journey? What was your story?
Yeah. It's a long story, so I will try to shorten it. Basically, I had a very difficult childhood, so I was still healing from wounds of that, and also had two very traumatic childbirths with my two little boys, one of whom was born with congenital heart defect. So that whole year after his birth was just in and out of hospitals and surgeries and such. So um, that has I had been questioning my life since I got out of my very abusive childhood and my abusive house. But really, it was the traumatic childbirth that really kind of launched me into this upheaval of I don't know what life is anymore. I don't know what the point of any of this is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. And then stuff started happening at home where stuff would turn on all by itself and it just start playing kids music and I would see shadow figures and I was just searching for any truth because I was born and raised Catholic. Uh, and really at that point, after my after the birth of my children, I just couldn't find any peace within the faith. And I looked through all sorts of religions and philosophies and spiritualities, tried a whole bunch of stuff, and really was just lost and hurting, really is where I was.
Okay, so lost and hurting before you found us. And just to give everybody a little bit of a background, what is it that you do professionally?
I am a licensed clinical social worker. So, probably everything that I went through in childhood um, really made me want to search for healing and then be able to offer that healing to others. The whole idea of the wounded healer. That's definitely me. And so, I did my bachelor's in psychology, then I did my master's in social work, and then I just continued to learn all I could, any modality that crossed my path into, trying to improve my therapy skills. And so I actually just recently opened my own private practice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so would you say that it would be safe to assume that you kind of know about all of this stuff anyway? You know how the brain works, you know how the mind works, and you really have a good grasp on human nature and human behavior, traumas and things like that. You've got a pretty good idea based on not only your own life but
Mhm.
also the education that you've done and the practice that you've chosen to get into to not only help yourself but to help other people.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I did find some healing in the modalities of, the psychological world that I found and I learned. It just wasn't enough for me, I guess.
Okay. And so let's go. Okay, so what was like the big moment that really kind of lit the fire under you to find something more? I mean, you've tried all of these different modalities and been exploring all these kinds of things. What was really the one moment, the story, the part of your story that really lit you up and you're like, I need something better?
It was really going through all this stuff with my youngest son, with his heart defects, with his surgeries. And I just it was just too much. All I could do is just keep my family surviving and together and, just uphold our mental health as much as possible. And it was just that was really it. I was struggling. I was questioning basically everything. I was questioning my own sanity. I was just questioning everything in the world. And that was really it. I really knew that I either had to find the truth of what was out there and whether healing was possible, and you know find what it was that I was here to do, or I would probably not be able to continue living.
Okay, that's pretty intense. And from our experience, we do find that to be fairly, not necessarily common across the board, but it's definitely something that a lot of different people do go through, where they're like, they've tried everything. They've tried standard talk therapy. They've tried all kinds of different healing modalities. They've tried this, they've tried that, and they're just done because it's not working or hasn't been enough, or all of the pieces haven't come together.
Right.
So I definitely see that story a lot, even to the point where people have reached like their rock bottom. They're like, I need something, otherwise I'm literally not going to be able to continue. And we've had people who've come to us that we've worked with our in our private practice, where we're just like, okay, well, let's explore that for a moment. And the way that we operate is kind of going into things instead of dealing with the symptoms or working on the top level stuff. We like helping people get to, well, what's underneath that and what's underneath that, and helping them get to the part that's inside that they already know, and helping them put their own pieces together.
Right.
It's not us guiding you to, well, we know what's best for you and this is what works for all of these other people. It's liberating your own truth from the inside out.
Exactly.
So when people come to us with those types of issues, or they're kind of hit that rock bottom, or they're in that corner, backed into the corner, and there's nowhere else out, we're like, okay, well, flip it around and kind of go into that for a moment and imagine what life would be like if you weren't here. And then what would happen from there? And then what would happen from there? We kind of take them through that line of, oh, okay, well, does that really solve your problem? No, because the brain, as you're aware, the brain is trying to find peace. And if all of these other things that it's been doing haven't been working, it's kind of left with no other option but the end of it all, right? And it doesn't want to end life. It wants to end the pain.
Yes, exactly.
So with that being said, there you were, you've got, this entire situation. Like, would you say like an entire year of trauma after your son was born, and the whole heart issues and in and out of the hospital and all of this?
Yes, between the four of us, we had 8 hospital stays and 6 surgeries, like major hospital stays where like a week or more,
Right.
So, and it was everybody went into the hospital. I ended up with sepsis because of all the stress, and the doctors are like, we don't know why you have sepsis. Like, you shouldn't be having sepsis. There's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, yeah, well,
it's happening.
There's all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And let's go for a moment to the thinking that you might be crazy. Okay, here you are. This is your professional line of work. And then to have that thought, like, well, maybe I am absolutely insane. Maybe I've just lost it. Maybe there is no hope for me. There's no resolution. There's no anything. What did that do to you?
It made me feel really broken. Like, here I am trying to fix other people and learning all these things that are supposed to help. And, some of it is helping on some level, but really I just feel like everything's just, sand sifting through my fingers, and I just can't grasp onto anything. And yeah, I just felt really broken, defeated.
Yeah, broken and defeated is definitely, again, it's a common theme that we found, where we're reached the rock bottom, and then a rock came on top of us, and our rock bottom just crashed us, and now we're broken in pieces, and there's no hope of putting it all back together. It's a Humpty Dumpty element.
Yes.
Where you're like, I just fell off the damn wall, and now I'm broken. There's no putting me back together. Right.
That's exactly right.
But also, and you're aware of this, there's a concept called the shamanic death, where you get to this point, and it's also, it leads to a spiritual awakening or dark night of the soul. All of those are very similar. And you've got this experience where you feel like you have been rended
Mm-hmm.
your muscle from bone, from tissue, and you are left with nothing. And that happens to be the moment that you find an element of you, and then you begin to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And you rebuild who you are authentically after you have been basically left for dead and on the side of the freeway with nobody to help you. And then you pick yourself up and you realize, okay, I've got to do something. And there is something out there. I don't know what the fuck it is yet, but I know it's out there, and I'm going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the experience that a lot of people have when they go into this shamanic death, or they go into this dark night of the soul, and they get to this point where there's no other choice but to break down and then rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, let's go a little bit further. So do you remember the moment that you found us?
Vaguely.
Okay.
I know there was probably a Facebook ad
Okay.
that I kept seeing, and I'm like, oh, they look really friendly and nice. So I just and it had a link to your free Facebook group, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'll check them out. And after that, it was just kind of a whirlwind of me getting on the discovery call with you and saying yes. That's all I really remember.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. When you first found us and you found the free group and you got in, what were your thoughts?
I think I watched a few videos and I was like, wow, they really know what they're talking about. And at that point, I had been kind of, like you said, finding that element to start rebuilding and to rebuild yourself around. And for me, that was kind of my spirituality and my, I guess, a reawakening psychic abilities. And so I had already been looking at, different practices and different groups. And when I got to your group, it was just like, it wasn't anything with fear. Like, it was just like coming home. It was just like, they really know what they're talking about. They seem to like have the element of the science, right? I'm like, I need this to really make sense. I really need things to make sense in my head. And so you guys explained it in a way where I'm like, oh, okay, now I can kind of connect the dots and say, oh, it does make sense. And it just kind of started to click.
Cool. Yeah, we definitely blend the science and the mysticism and all the cool stuff that the brain is capable of and all of the mystical experiences around that. If you don't ground that in science and reality, then the possibility of legitimately going off into crazy town is there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we find that a lot of people who get into it without knowing how important the foundation is, how important the mental and emotional foundation is while you're building, while you're exploring all these cool things, then you can literally slip off into bypassing land and then disconnect completely from reality.
Right.
Which, as you know, is a break with reality.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Right. And with somebody who's already feeling like she's insane and going crazy and just like, going off her rocker, that was the thing where I'm like, okay, maybe this is real. Maybe I'm not so crazy. Maybe this can be my way back to whatever
Right.
it is that I'm supposed
cohesion.
to do here.
Cohesion.
Yes.
And then from there, you discover what you want to do, your actual purpose, your passion, all of those things after that. Mm-hmm. But for us, the first step is that triage that, okay, well, most people come to us and they're in this state of despair, this state of confusion and loss and chaos and feeling like they're crazy. And we're like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. Mm-hmm. You don't have to feel like you're crazy. Yes, you might be experiencing things that a lot of people can't experience or haven't kind of opened up to yet, mm-hmm. but that doesn't mean you're crazy.
Right.
Okay. So we really, really enjoy bringing a semblance of normality to all of the crazy, wild, mystical stuff and blending both worlds. Because if you don't blend them, you're either too science-y and you're neglecting and rejecting all of these pieces that are part of your reality, or you're too mystical and you're rejecting the real science and actual reality. Mm-hmm. So we bring them both together because there is no other way to do it from our perspective.
Right. And for me, the other thing you guys had going for you over everybody else pretty much that I've encountered is, you come from a hypnotherapy background and, Heather is a PhD. And I'm like, okay, well, they should know what they're talking about, right? Like we come from similar backgrounds. And I'm like, then they have the experience to really, have the backing for what they're saying. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been fascinated with the mind since I was a kid. So getting into hypnotherapy, getting into neuroscience and psychology and all of those things and putting them all together, it helped me make much more sense out of the way that the brain is functioning, especially in high trauma states. When you've got this trauma and your brain is freaking out, it's going into hyperdrive. Your senses are in hyperdrive. So obviously you're able to sense more than normal people because of that hyperdrive mentality.
Right.
And over time, when you balance the traumas, the initial triggers underneath that, and you calm those, you're still left with the neural pathways and abilities to tap into this subtle energy and tap into things that are beyond normal human perception. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the best of both worlds, because you got the ability that opened up to protect you in the first place that is now a super cool, superhuman power, right? A superpower.
Right. Because when you're in trauma and you're super stressed, like your rational brain just kind of says, okay, I'm out. Like you just survive.
Yeah.
And, when the abilities stay with you after the trauma, after you've calmed, after you've like resolved some of those issues, then, your rational brain comes back and it's like, okay, I'm back. Like, let's do this. But so now you get to integration of both the rational mind and the kind of, all your senses and perceptions and all that other stuff. Yeah.
The mystical cool shit.
The mystical cool shit.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay. So you found us and we got on our discovery call, and that discovery call was basically just to see how we could best help you. Mm-hmm. The intention is never about sales or trying to make you buy something or anything like that. It's always about, well, I'm showing up as an authentic, genuine individual. Mm-hmm. I love helping people. And how can I best help you?
Yeah.
And in our call, it was, okay, well, I think this free group is great. It's mostly for a lot of people who are new and just finding their footing, finding their foundation. You were already way up here as far as like what you were capable of, what you were ready for. And I was like, well, this really isn't going to help you the best with your story and your situation. Mm-hmm. However, we have this program over here that's going to be everything that you need, right? Mm-hmm. And then you were like, yes, I'm all on board. So let's do this and jump in. And you did. You jumped in. You were like, let's do this. So tell me the story of what happened when you said yes.
Sure. Well, what you're talking about, the authentically showing up to help me really came across like very strongly from the minute like Zoom started. And so, because I've been through other discovery calls with other people, and like there was some really pushy and almost really manipulative people out there.
Psychologically manipulative.
Yeah, they were. And then they were like, and setting me up to say yes, and then being surprised where I'm like, I see through you, like I'm not falling for this. And then like almost stalking me for a while after that. And so anyway, so it really came through that you really were authentic. You were really there to help me. And like, I think my internet at that point was really bad. So like we didn't even really get into that much, but you just started explaining everything that you guys had to offer. And I just like, at first I was worried about, the money and the finances, but like, as soon as you started explaining what it is that you guys were offering, it just like a bolt of lightning hit me. And I'm like, I just had this deep knowing of this is where I need to be. Like, this is the place for me. And like, it was like this whole thing spread out in front of me of like, this is how you're going to pay for it. And this is how you're going to explain it to your husband. And like, this is like, it just all fell into place. And I'm like, all right, we're doing this.
Wow. That's beautiful. I really appreciate you sharing not only the concerns that you had about like, okay, well, you've been on several other, strategy calls or sales calls or whatever. And being in the line of work that you are, it's like, okay, yeah, you're just fucking with me, and you're setting this up, you're doing this, you're doing that. And it's so obvious. Even if you don't know psychology or sales psychology or any of that, you can tell when somebody is just like, they're not genuine, they're not authentic, they're looking for the dollar, and that's their whole purpose. And then they're going to stalk you afterwards if you don't give it to them to follow up, because the money is in the follow-up, right? And I'm more about, yes, I love having money. I love helping people because of the money. Okay. The money that we get, we help more people that way. Okay. And being on that call with you, even though the internet was all crappy, and congratulations for your upgraded internet. I knew we had a conversation about that. You're like, yeah, you changed my life in way more than one. Yeah. And yeah, I've studied the marketing, I've studied the sales, I've done all of that. And I'm like, that's not my purpose. My purpose is not to get the dollar. My purpose is, how can I best help you? How can we as a community best help you? If that's going to be the free group, that's going to be the free group. And then you're going to get everything that you need out of that. If that's going to be, and you're ready to level up to the paid group, then you're going to get what you need out of that. And the beautiful thing about the way that you kind of explained your process is, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And if your mind is on board and you're like, yes, this is for me, this is what I need, then it will create the ways. That powerful subconscious mind will create the ways to show you how to make it work. I'm not here to show you how to make it work. I'm not here to convince you to make it work. If it's going to work, it's perfect timing for you. If it's not going to work and it's going to put you out financially, then you're not ready, and that's okay. Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, the power of the mind creating a way to make it happen. It's not about the money element. It's about, how can your life change? And that's our perspective around it. And what I tell everybody, and I think I told you this on our call, is make sure that you mark this day. Mark this day on your calendar when you say yes, when you jump in, because this is the day that your life changes. It's true. I think I mentioned that on our call. So with that being said, tell me about your experience when you actually got in.
Well, I jumped right in. So you got me set up like immediately right there. And I like jumped right in. I think I binged watched like 5 videos that night. And it was so amazing. Like everything that I watched in the videos, it was just like, yes, it was just like this aha moment after aha moment after aha moment of like everything falling into place, everything starting to make sense. And like really, like I think I bawled for like a whole week straight, just going through all the videos. And it was just like a lot of releasing, a lot of healing. And like it even pointed out things of like, why did other things that I've tried, all of my psychological modalities, all of this other stuff didn't work. And so it was just like mind blowing, exciting, like painful, but in a good way of like, this is healing. Like you're going through physical therapy, right? And it hurts, but it's getting better because you can see the progress day from day. And it was just like, every time I listened to a video, I could see the difference, within the hour or next day. And I'm like, I am healing. And then, I joined the practices that are available. And I'm just like, I just found my family and like people who thought like me and really got me. And we're just like, come as you are. Like, we don't care. You can curse, you can do whatever, you can bawl your eyes out. Like, we're just here holding space for you. And it's just been really beautiful.
That's awesome. And I really do love to hear that, because for me, setting that community, setting that foundation to feel like family, to feel like what family is supposed to feel like, that feeling of being welcomed home with open arms, accepted exactly as you are, with nobody trying to change you, but people there genuinely to support you, to help you, to hold space for you, to let you bawl like a baby and then give you some guidance afterwards, or whatever it is that you need in the moment. That's kind of that's the culture that I want. That's the community that I want. That's the feeling that I want to continue perpetuating and continue building. And it's beautiful to see every time that I pop in the group, every time that I come in and say hi, every time that I hear a story, every time that I hear some aha moment that somebody has, or some big, huge thing that somebody's worked through, it really, really touches me to my core to see the effects of the work that we've been doing and the work that you guys all do, because we can't do it for you,
Right.
but we can provide the tools for you.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that I see something in there, it really lights me up from the inside. And it just makes me want to reach out to more people and be like, hey, do you know we have this cool thing over here? You don't even know how cool it is, but we do.
Yes.
We know how cool it is on the inside. And we really know just how effective that is when you have a place that you can genuinely feel safe. And I know you were talking about, you've been in all of these other groups, you've been in all of these other communities and programs and all of these other things that you've tried. What is it about Zen Ed Academy that really, really, really speaks to you? What makes it so different from anything else that you've ever seen?
Well, the first thing that really jumps out is just the amount of different content that you guys offer. It's like a one-stop shop. It's like this in the past and all the other groups, it's like they're really focused on just like their one thing. And you guys just go so above and beyond everything else out there of like, you have personal development stuff, you have all the mystic cool shit, you have all this. It's just, there's so much, and really whatever you need in your life at any moment, I feel like you can find it at Zen Ed.
That's awesome. Yeah, we toyed with the like niching down and doing your one thing, but it kept in the back of our heads. It was like, but everybody and all the coaching that we've done, all of the marketing, all of the sales, everything that we've done is like, well, find your one thing.
Right.
And well, our one thing is helping people grow at the core. And that's our one thing. But the byproduct of doing that is blending the mystical and the science and all of that in a way that makes sense. And how do we genuinely help people? We've taken the work that we've done with thousands of clients across the world, tens of thousands of client hours that we've put in, helping people on an individual basis solve life's greatest challenges. And we've had a range of issues that have come in. And we recognize the common data points and the common issues and the common problems that everybody in life has. And then we provide a solution for that. So we break it down to the core elements of what really makes a good life and what really makes you powerful, what makes you confident, what makes you able to go out into the world and to heal the world on a big way using your special spice. And that to me is one of the best things in the world, is to see somebody step into who they are and their special spice. Because we've got, like you said, we've got a lot of things that people can learn. And when they come in, they dabble, they deal with their triage, their traumas and their emotional upset, and build that foundation. And then they go into learning and they learn about all of these cool things that they can explore. And then they start to find the things that really light them up. And then they specialize. They specialize in that one thing, whatever that one thing is, or that one group of things. And then they explore and specialize in that. Now, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but there's another level beyond that, which is expansion. And we're going to be creating elements around that for the sales and the marketing and the tech and all of those things for people who are ready to get to, okay, now I've got this thing. Now I know what my thing is. How do I put that out in the world? And that's going to be something that we're starting to work on. That should probably be done, I'd say, in about a year or so from the time of this video. So about a year or so, we'll have the escalation phase, or the expansion phase, where people go out and work on their business element of all of that. So just to let you know, that's on the horizon.
Great. And I think you've mentioned that in one of your other videos for one of the courses that you just rolled out in Zen Ed. And there's a bunch of us who are like, yeah, let's go.
Good. Okay. So Zen Ed Academy, it's the bee's knees, right? And what would you say to anybody who is curious about Zen Ed Academy or wondering about it and wanted to explore more?
I would say jump on the call with David, and really he'll give you a little taste of the kind of stuff that you will experience. He'll tell you exactly what's in there, and I say you got nothing to lose, and really follow your gut. Like, you will know if this is the right place for you. You will know.
Okay. And what about for anybody who has who's really concerned or worried about the money part of it?
Really, with everything that I have gone through, like, obviously I'm in private practice, so I take money, from my clients also. And it's, all the other calls that I've been through with other people trying to sell me their programs. And with everything that Zen Ed offers you, like, this is the money part is like now the last thing I think about. And it's really worth every single penny. And it's just, when it's right, it's going to come to you and you're going to figure it out. And just go for it, really, is all I can say, because it's going to be so worth it.
Got it. And now when you look at this as an investment, for example, how has this investment changed your life?
Honestly, so I joined Zen Ed, 8 months ago, back in about 8
Somewhere
months
around there.
ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, I am not the person that I was anymore. Like, in a good way. Like, just every day I am reminded of where I've come from and where I am now, and I'm just filled with gratitude because, I have healed from the traumas. I've been able to get these aha moments to really grow on a personal level, like grow through blocks that I've experienced in my life, and evolved in new ways that I never even imagined would be possible for me. Where, and to have even just the family, of Zen Ed, the Zen Ed family is just, I lack words to really describe how much things have changed for me for the better.
Yeah, that right there, that's the reason we do what we do. So you came into this whole experience at like the rock bottom of your life, right? You're like, I need something. And you've been doing therapy, you've been experiencing therapy yourself for how many years now?
10. 10
Okay,
years.
so 10 years of trying to figure this shit out yourself, educating yourself, learning, exploring, figuring out how the brain works, and still it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you jump in 8 months, and you are a completely different person.
Mm-hmm. I actually fired my therapist, month 3, I think.
Wow.
We had moved to just monthly sessions, and then I'm like, no, I got something better.
Wow. That touches me. That really, that speaks volumes. And we do hear that quite a lot with our clients, with our members, with our students, with our people, with our family, right? It's more in 1 hour than 10 years of therapy, more for you in 3 months than 10 years of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, no, this works.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that amount of your life back, your fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
your feeling full, feeling like you are home, feeling like you are accepted, feeling like you're not fucking crazy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're like, no, I'm not crazy. This and this and this and this and this is all how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And just to let everybody know, anybody who's watching, Dee is also one of our leaders in the group. She's running the mediumship practice with another one of our members, Joe, who is absolutely phenomenal. You guys together are just an amazing team. So let's talk for a moment about that experience.
Sure.
Okay, so you jumped in, you're like 8 months, and you're like, I'm running this shit. How did that play out?
I don't even know, to be honest. Well, I know that I was, part of the practice groups with that are run by the other members of Zen Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess it just got to a point where like both me and Joe, like we got really close. Like we message each other all the time and we're like, you know what? We want more. Like the 2 practice sessions that we have a week are not enough. Like we want more. So we just grew so hungry for like just additional practice. And like we were doing our own practices with each other and like some other group members just like on the side through Messenger, just like rescue and transition mediumship stuff. And we're just like, this is so cool. So that's kind of where we're like, okay, well, let's see if David, wouldn't mind if we just held an official additional practice. And so it just kind of grew from there. And it was, I don't know, just being part of the community and just commenting on people's posts and like offering the support and just kind of like paying it forward from what David and Heather did for me. And it's just like, it just fills me with joy. That
is absolutely amazing. And we're so appreciative of you and Joe and everybody else who's in the group who has risen and kind of like got to that point where they're like, I love this and I want to be able to help other people step into what I've been going through, right? Mm-hmm. And to experience, because I remember way back when I was the beginner, when I was the one who was like, I don't even know any of this stuff, but it sounds cool. So let me play with it. Let me explore it. Right. And then finding other people that you can connect with and do that. And just watching the people rise up and kind of become those leaders is phenomenal for us. It's like, so just to let you guys know, all of our leaders have risen up through the ranks. They've gone through their own experiences and they're like, I want to do this. Can I do this? Can I help you out? Can I hold a session? Can I do a practice? Can I do this? Can I do that? That's kind of how our practices have filled out. And now we've got multiple practices per week, all kinds of different practices from self-growth and healing to actual emotional work, like deep emotional processing with Carissa.
Yeah, that sounds, oh my gosh.
It's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
It is.
Right?
She is.
And she's risen because of her special spice. You and Joe have risen into your special spice. Wendy has done the same thing. Mm-hmm. We've got all these people that are rising up, and that's kind of how we love to see it. The natural, organic flow of, I don't know anything. I don't even know if I have any psychic gifts or intuitive gifts or anything. I don't even know if I'm special in any way. Mm-hmm. And then 8 months for you. 8 months, and now you're running this. And it's like, how fulfilling is it when you've got somebody who comes in and you're like, hey, I remember where you were. Let's play. Don't even worry about whether you're good or not. Let's play. Let's practice. Let's see where you're at. Let's see what you can do.
Oh, it feels so good. Like there's a new girl in one of our practices, right? And she's growing through her own traumas and she's exploring her own abilities. And it's just like, it's so exciting because, we'll validate her and she'll be like all excited. And it's just like the best feeling in the world because you see it and you see it in her. She just has to like learn that about herself to accept it. And you're just like, oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah. And then the confidence level, just watching somebody's confidence level when you just say, hey, you're absolutely on point. Mm-hmm. Your intuition is solid.
Yes.
And then the confidence, you just see them like light up and they're, that feeling right there. That is amazing. Amazing. Yes. And just to know that you're able to just by giving somebody feedback. Yeah. Just by letting them know they're not crazy, letting them know, hey, okay, maybe you've got some emotional things that are getting in the way. Go and take this course, go and work on that, and then come back and we'll support you through the whole thing.
Exactly. And I'd like to point out in the practices, it's not like me and Joe or Wendy or Carissa that are running the show and it's just like, we're telling you. No, you come in, you participate, you play, you do this yourself. We're here to guide you and support you and hold space for you. And, our practices are very, like, they're very chill. Like, it's not like us, teaching you. It's not a lecture. We all come in, we all learn, we all grow, we all participate and play too. If you're not comfortable, you come and observe, and that's perfectly fine. Like, we might try to engage you, but you can totally say no and just observe, and that's perfectly fine too. And it's just a lot of fun. But I can promise you, if you come to our practice sessions, you will want to participate. Like, maybe you'll spend one session of like, just, okay, let me feel it out. At next session, you will be participating. Just
Awesome.
You'll want to.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is a no pressure thing. It's also whatever skill level that you're at, you come in, you show up, and you play at that skill level. And the way that we have it set up, the way that we have designed it, is to use what's called a stair-step teaching model. And this is mostly for everybody else. You're already aware of this. So if you've got the guru, the person who's trained and educated and really done their own work, they're way up here, and you got a new person coming in, that's a huge gap to fill, right? But we use what is called the zone of proximal development that says, if you're here, you learn better in a range that is closer to where you're at. So if you've got a student here and you're here, it's a lot easier to digest this, to understand this, to wrap your head around it, and to really get it than it would be to try to jump this. Right. So student here, learn really quickly, super easy, little bite-sized pieces. And before you know it, you're scaled up. Then we also know that we learn better by teaching. So if you're here and you've got a student here, you're teaching them some little bit, you're helping them validate, confirm, give them confirmation, validation, whatever, and you're helping them to learn. And you're learning, they're growing, you're growing, everybody's growing. Before you know it, that confidence builds super, super rapidly. So this isn't just some haphazard practice that just goes, hey, it's a free for all. No, there's a structure behind it. Right. But it's a very fluid structure. So you come in wherever you're at, between here and here, you're going to have somebody who's on your level, and it's a lot easier for you to learn and grow. And then you're going to have somebody that you can teach. Because we all know that masterminds work well because you've got a bunch of brains together, learning at different levels, supporting each other, bringing their brilliance. And that's basically what these things are. They're more masterminds than they are practice, even though you're practicing.
Exactly. That's exactly how, somebody like me goes 8 months and, gets to be part of the leadership. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. Just watching things play out. And this is just one of many stories that we hear from people who are so broken or uncertain or at the end of their rope, or they think they're crazy, or they think they're broken and there's no hope for them because they've already tried all of these other things. And just in my heart of heart, I know when somebody's ready for this, all I got to do is I got to reach through and take them one step into saying yes to themselves, yes to Zen Ed Academy, yes to whatever it is, and try it out. Because there's no stress, there's no pressure. I've got I'm so confident because I see so many of these stories that play out this way, like yours. I'm so confident. Heather and I are both so confident. Everybody in Zen Ed Academy is so confident that if somebody just says yes, just jumps in, just dips their toe in the water, that they're gonna change their life. So confident that I've got an entire 30-day automatic refund. Okay, so if somebody doesn't like it for whatever reason, they don't like the way that I sound, I look funny on video, I don't give a shit what the reason is. 30 days and they cancel within those 30 days, I automatically give their money back, because again, it's not about the money for me. Right. It's never been about the money. It's about how can I help people. And when people get to this point where they make an investment in themselves, and it's a significant enough investment to go all in, instead of just pretending and playing and just trying it out. If somebody's here just to try it out and, well, I don't know, and they're not ready to do the work, ready to change their life, I don't want them in because they're not ready. They're not going to get the benefit. I can't help them if they're not ready. But it's an investment, and it does something in the mind. When it's a big enough investment, it does something in your brain, and it really puts you forward into, I'm going to do this. I'm making this commitment to myself. I am making this investment to myself, and I'm going to try. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to see where it takes me. And that's all that it takes. Mm-hmm.
That's all that it takes, because we know on the other end, they're welcomed with open arms. They get an entire cushion of safety that they jump into, of confidence, of education, of practice, a family, a community, everything that people need,
Yes.
that they're lacking in their own life, that they're missing in their own life to some degree or another. That's why we've done this. That's why we've built this the way that it is. And we know that all they have to do is make that choice, make that investment, take that leap of faith. And we got you. We got you.
You do. You really do.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody about Zen Ed Academy, about your journey, about your story, about anything that you want to share?
Just tell them, just come on in. We're happy to have you.
Cool. All right, Dee, thank you so much for sharing your story. It has been an amazing journey. Got a little emotional. I know you did too, but that just shows the depth of what this does for people, and how this really, really changes people's lives. Yes. By giving them the confidence and the freedom to be who they are at their core, with an amazing amount of support, an amazing amount of education, shit that works. Mm-hmm. Shit that really blends those two worlds and makes sense. It's how your brain is already working. Mm-hmm. We just help you understand yourself better. Right. And give you the support to go through those things that are going to be difficult. It's not easy going through trauma. It's not easy going through emotions that you don't like. But knowing that you've got a support system there built in, mm-hmm. that is absolutely hands down the best thing that anybody can have when they're going through their shit. Mm-hmm. So once again,
life-changing for me. So
awesome. It's life-changing for me to see all of these people come in like you, going through our conversation. Even though your internet was shit, our conversation was emotional. Our conversation was deep.
It was.
And that was like half an hour. It was a half-hour conversation. It was like, okay, well, this is going to help you. You've got all of these traumas and all of these things, and I've got solutions. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to work. All you have to do is say yes. And you did. And I'm so grateful and so glad that you did. Seeing you 8 months later, an entirely new person, confident in yourself, confident in your practice. You've actually taken a lot of this stuff and integrated it into your own practice. Is that right?
I have. Yes, that is correct.
So before we wrap this up, let's
I can't
let's do a little bit on that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, this stuff works. And, I come from, cognitive behavioral, mindfulness, trauma-informed kind of stuff. And really is just, I'm adding bits and pieces that I've learned from, Zen Ed, and just really see how much new aha moments, new insights, just breaking through blocks that my clients experience just by bringing a little bit of the David and Heather magic into my own practice.
So what is the one technique that you really like, your go-to technique from stuff that you've learned in Zen Ed Academy? What is your go-to thing, your one thing that you're like, yeah, this?
Well, and I'm not good with names, so I don't remember what you guys call it, but it's where you really sit with your emotions for 5 minutes, and you try to just really feel into it, even expand how you're feeling, and through it releases, and you'll be led to a point in the past maybe, or some block or something will come to your mind that'll be that oh yeah, this is it. And just kind of giving yourself in the moment what it is that you needed for that when this got stuck in your head, and really just working from the idea that your mind already knows what got stuck, where it gets stuck, and what to do about it. And so that's constantly running through my head when I work with clients, and just trying to bring them there, and different ways, and in whatever way they're willing to go there with me, right? Because not all of them are willing to go the full full extent of feeling their shit yet, but right. Yeah. So
well, that's the depth and the great part about that is, and just to clarify the name, that is a part of our HERO method, HERO, Human emotional response optimization. And that's what we do, where we've got this 5-minute experience, and we've boiled it down to a 5-minute experience where if you give yourself the freedom and permission to go into whatever those emotions are and to go hard, fast, and deep into those emotions, you can actually process through any emotion in less than 5 minutes if you give yourself the freedom to go into it. And then what happens is you give the mind the freedom to go to whatever memory, whatever emotion, whatever thing, just experience the emotion. Going into that emotion, you experience this moment of release where just by honoring and acknowledging the emotion, there's the other technique that we use, which is called the avenue of release, AVE, acknowledge, validate, and explore. Acknowledge your emotion. You're feeling this thing. Validate it. It's a real feeling. It's okay to feel it. You deserve to feel this feeling until you are done. And then you explore it and you go deep into that emotion for 5 minutes, get to the bottom of it. If a memory comes up, if an emotion comes up, if whatever it is, go through it and then just go into that, acknowledge that, validate it, go deeper, acknowledge, validate, go deeper until you get to this moment of peace. And that's a beautiful technique that we use. And it can be used on repeat. A lot of our meditations, a lot of our hypnosis, a lot of our things incorporate that into it, where it's like, okay, acknowledge, validate, explore, and realize there's a wonderful part inside of your mind that already knows everything that you need. It already knows what got stuck, where it got stuck, and how to release it. Yeah, that's why Dee was talking about it. And she's like, okay,
he says it every time.
Yeah, because it works. It works. All right. Thank you for bringing that to the table. Thank you for bringing this entire experience of your journey so far. Just the little bits that we've had to explore today. Thank you for sharing those with me. Thank you for sharing those with everybody else. Dee, it has been a pleasure. I am very excited with where you've come so far and thrilled to see where you go from here.
I am too.
Awesome.
I am excited too.
Awesome. All right. Have a fantastic day and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. You have a great one.
You too. Bye. Oh, before we wrap up, I want to say, if anybody is interested in hearing more about Zen Ed Academy, you are born to take care of your own feelings when you grow up.
But sometimes bad things can happen, like trauma and unresolved emotions.
As you get older, those bad feelings block the good feelings,
causing stress, anxiety, or anger.
It might seem hard to deal with those feelings.
Adults don't always teach us as children how to feel our feelings in a good way.
Yes, even the bad ones.
Instead, we're taught to think happy thoughts and do happy things, instead of working through the emotions the right way.
We pile happy, feel good on top, trying to make it feel better.
That's just happy sprinkles on a crap cake.
Zen Ed Academy helps you break the cycle of codependence that keeps you looking for acceptance from others.
Why is this important?
You cannot trust your intuition and be a badass until you heal your emotional baseline.
It's time to clear the clutter blocking your awesome sauce.
We invite you to become your own hero.
Learn more at zenedacademy.com.
Life should be peaceful and relaxed, not stressed, anxious, and overwhelming.
You've worked too hard to not have peace, confidence, and clarity.
Stop waiting to be rescued. Become your own hero.
Go to zenedacademy.com to begin your adventure.